Hey ho, maybe the Telegraph will cheer us up.
Yes, because it's got men and women's brains work differently. Scientists prove. Here it is. Lewis is gutted that he's not in tonight. This is great news for misogynists. When Ron Burgundy said that men and women are different, that is a scientific fact. It now is. I mean, it's Stanford University, and they're looking at the hotspot areas, the default mode network, an area of the brain thought to be the neurological centre for self, which is interesting, because self is a sort of disputed philosophical concept. But anyway, apparently it's real, and it's different between men and women. And it's the limbic system is also implicated, which helps regulate emotion, I'm saying nothing, memory, and deals with sexual stimulation, and the striatum, which is important in habit forming and rewards. Anyway, and there's implications for how women view themselves and interact with people and record past experiences. So, yeah, we are different. It's official.
It's interesting what you say about the self being... It is, I think, fair to say, it is an illusion in a way. That doesn't mean it isn't real, if you know what I mean. It's like, it's a real sense that we have. It's obviously created in the brain. The question is whether or not, when you really dwell on it, can you actually sort of find anything fundamental, you know, and hard there. But
well, I was reading a piece...
Is it different between men and women? Is that what they're saying?
That's what they're saying, yeah. They might have a different default mode network. Yeah. Which is essentially the self.
This is huge. Well, the big one is how they recall past experiences. Now, anybody who's got a partner will know that women remember things incorrectly.
Yeah.
And this is...
And use them against you years later.
As to why.
Yeah. Default mode network came up in a book I was reading recently, and I can't remember it, but I'm going to work on
that. You did constant humble brags about books.
The self thing fascinating, because I think women get a lot of their sense of self from mirror... Do you know what I mean? How do other people see
society?
Literally the mirror neurons. How are they seen? Is this sexist? I don't know. Whereas men have a sense of self through self-actualisation.
I was reading a thing the other day suggesting that, you know, this idea of us even having a self is fairly recent. In the way that we do with this introspection of the West might be sort of relatively recent in some ways, so maybe it might not last forever. Go on.
I just say it's such an interesting time because we've had this movement for 20, 30 years of men and women are exactly the same.
Yes.
And now it's sort of, we're going, no, men and women are actually different. And now we're seeing some of the scientific reasons why.
It's obviously going to have an impact on the trans debate, isn't it? Because if there are female-bodied people who can demonstrate that they have male-bodied brains, male-orientated brains in this sense, they will have a bit more of a rock to stand.
Well, the idea is that they couldn't because men and women's brains develop differently, so it pushes the argument further that way.
That's assuming anyone listens to the science. I mean, something like the depression argument that it was a chemical imbalance was debunked, and everyone's just acting like it hasn't been debunked, just as an example.
Exercise twice as good for you as any pharmaceutical intervention. Extraordinary. Never mind that, give me the drugs.
There's another big story.
You want to do the Israel one, Josh?
I'm just saying it happens to be there.
Okay. Are we doing that off there? Yeah, go on.
It's Israel moves to US moves to block Israel offensive, and Biden has stepped in here, and he's talking about the move on Rafah.
Yeah.
And he's saying that basically he's saying that he wants the United Nations to come up with a temporary ceasefire on it. So what do you think, Josh? I'm guessing you're not thrilled about it.
No, I think that who cares what I think? The only people that really matter are the Israeli people and their representatives. This is arguably the final battle. This is the last enclave where Hamas are in control. There obviously are a million civilians there as well. But there are hostages that need to be found, and there are Hamas terrorists that need to be defeated.
And Hamas have no interest in a ceasefire.
No, and they also, what they do have an interest is using their population as shields. And really, the call should be from everybody for Hamas to retire and get back the hostages.